There is a unique and terrifying courage required to begin something new. To stand before the blank canvas, the empty page, the unformed business plan, and make the first mark. In that moment, your dream is a fragile, tender thing. It exists only in your heart and mind, shimmering with possibility, yet so vulnerable it could be extinguished by a single harsh word or a cold gust of doubt. We often think the biggest battle is the one against our own fear, our own procrastination. But what if the more dangerous, more subtle war is fought in our daily conversations, over coffee, in text messages, with the very people we call our friends? What if the ecosystem of your social life is either the fertile greenhouse your dream needs to blossom, or a frozen tundra where it is destined to perish? This is a journey into one of the most difficult truths of personal growth. Not all friendships are equipped to travel with you into the future you are trying to create. Some, with no malice intended, are anchors to the person you used to be. Today, we will explore the 5 types of friendships that can keep your dreams small and how to protect your vision without sacrificing your kindness. Let's walk this path with a woman we'll call Clara. Clara is in her early 30s. On the surface, she has a good life, a stable administrative job, a nice apartment, a comfortable routine. But deep inside, a different story is yearning to be told. Literally, Clara's secret, sacred dream is to write a novel. For years, it was just a fantasy, but 6 months ago, she finally found the courage. She bought a new laptop, she started waking up at 5 a.m. before work, and she began to write. The manuscript is her most precious, most vulnerable creation, and as she pours her soul onto the page, she begins to see how the people around her interact with this new, fragile part of herself. There's Maya, her closest work friend. When Clara shyly mentions she's writing a book, Maya smiles sweetly and says, "Oh, that's such a cute hobby. It's great to have something to keep you busy." A hobby. The word lands like a small, smooth stone, but it feels heavy in Clara's gut. Then there's Tom. They've been friends since forever, and he's her go-to person for a good laugh. But Tom's life is a perpetual whirlwind of drama. The moment Clara finds her creative flow, her phone buzzes. It's Tom, detailing his latest catastrophic date or his feud with his roommate. Clara listens, advises, and calms him down, but after the call, her mind is a tangled mess. The delicate thread of her story is gone, and the energy she had for her characters is completely spent. And what about Jessica? Jessica is the sophisticated, intelligent friend whose opinion Clara has always valued. When Clara works up the nerve to share her first 3 chapters, Jessica agrees to read them. A week later, she returns them with a sigh. "Look, I'm just being honest, because I care about you," she begins. "The premise is a bit weak, don't you think? And your main character isn't very likable. I just don't want you to pour your heart into this and end up getting hurt when it doesn't go anywhere." Every word is wrapped in the packaging of care, but it feels like a series of precise, painful cuts. Then there's David, another aspiring creative in their circle. He's a musician. When he hears Clara has written 50 pages, he says, "Oh, nice. I just finished recording a whole EP, and I'm already storyboarding a music video." The conversation is never about mutual support. It's a subtle competition. He never shares resources, never asks about her plot. He just reports his own progress, making her feel like she's already behind in a race she didn't even know they were running. Finally, there is her old university crew. When they get together, it's a warm bath of nostalgia. They laugh about old parties, old jokes, old versions of themselves. But when Clara mentions she has to leave early to write, there's a collective groan. "Oh, come on, writer girl, don't be so serious. Remember how we used to be?" They love the Clara she was, and they seem unconsciously determined to keep her there, trapped in the amber of their shared past. Clara is surrounded by people who, in their own ways, are creating a hostile environment for her dream. Have you ever felt this? Have you ever shared an exciting new idea, only to have it minimized into a cute hobby? Have you ever had your precious creative energy siphoned away by someone else's endless drama? Have you ever had your confidence shattered by honest feedback that felt more like an attack? If you've ever felt this painful disconnect between the person you are becoming and the people you have around you, take a moment to join our community by subscribing to Mind Decode Explained. Together, we navigate these complex inner worlds to find clarity and build a life that is truly our own. The first type of friendship that keeps our dreams small is the minimizer, personified by Maya. This friend isn't mean or cruel. They are often loving and well-intentioned, but they unconsciously place your ambition into a small, non-threatening box labeled hobby. They do this to protect their own comfort. Your big, scary, life-changing dream is a disturbance in the force of your relationship. It introduces the possibility of change, of success, of failure, all of which are unsettling. By framing it as a cute little project, they neutralize the threat. It no longer has the power to change you or to change the dynamic between you. The psychological impact of this is devastatingly subtle. One of the most powerful forces in human motivation is validation. When we embark on a difficult journey, we look to our trusted circle for signals that our efforts are meaningful. As psychologist and author Dr. Tralbertuthis Lees, Harriet Lerner notes, in any relationship, we are constantly, if unconsciously, asking, "Do you see me? Do you hear me? Does what I say mean anything to you?" When a friend responds to your life's passion as if it were a stamp collection, the implicit answer is no. They are not seeing the courage, the sacrifice, the ambition. They are only seeing a pastime. Over time, you can begin to internalize this perspective. You start to think, maybe she's right. Maybe this is just a silly dream. Who am I to think I can write a novel? The minimizer doesn't have to actively crush your dream. They just have to starve it of the validation it needs to survive in its early stages. Next, we encounter the second archetype, the crisis magnet, our friend Tom. This is the friend whose life is a never-ending soap opera. There is always a fire to put out, always a drama to dissect. As an empathetic person, you feel compelled to help, to listen, to be the stable rock in their chaotic sea. But creative energy, the very fuel required to build a dream, is not like physical energy. It is a shy, delicate creature. It requires quiet, focus, and deep, uninterrupted thought. The crisis magnet is the natural predator of this energy. Their frantic phone calls and urgent texts are like stones thrown into the still pond of your concentration. The ripples disrupt everything. This goes beyond simple distraction. It's a form of what we previously called emotional contagion. Their anxiety becomes your anxiety. Their sense of urgency hijacks your own priorities. You spend an hour on the phone with them, and when you return to your work, the magic is gone. The world you were building in your mind has dissolved. This isn't just about losing an hour of time. It's about losing your creative momentum, which can take hours or even days to get back. A common misconception is that to be a good friend, you must be available 24/7 for any and all crises. But as author and researcher Terry Cole emphasizes, a lack of boundaries invites disrespect. By always being on call for their drama, you are teaching them that their chaos is more important than your creation. Protecting your dream means protecting the sacred space and time it needs to grow. It means understanding that your creative energy is a finite and precious resource, not an unlimited public utility. The third, and often most painful archetype, is the concerned critic, our friend Jessica. This relationship is so dangerous because the criticism is cloaked in the language of love and protection. I'm only telling you this because I care. I don't want to see you get hurt. Brené Brown, in her extensive research on vulnerability, offers a powerful concept to combat this. The arena. When you create something, you are stepping into the arena. It's a vulnerable, brave place to be. And you must be very clear about whose feedback matters. As she says, If you are not in the arena also getting your butt kicked, she is not interested in your feedback. The concerned critic is often someone sitting in the cheap seats, not in the arena with you, but shouting criticism disguised as advice. Their feedback is rarely constructive. Constructive feedback feels like someone is getting in the boat with you to help you patch the holes. Destructive criticism feels like someone is standing on the shore, pointing out all the ways your boat is going to sink. The psychological root of this behavior is often not concern, but a toxic cocktail of their own fear and envy. Your courage to be in the arena highlights their fear of entering it themselves. By finding flaws in your work, they can justify their own inaction. See? It's too hard. It's not worth the risk. Their criticism isn't about making your work better. It's about making themselves feel better about not even trying. Believing that all feedback from friends is well-intentioned is a dangerous assumption. You must learn to discern between a friend who is trying to build you up and a friend who is trying to soothe their own insecurities by tearing you down. This leads us to a related and equally challenging friend, the fourth archetype, the competitive gatekeeper, our friend David. This dynamic often emerges in circles where multiple people have similar aspirations. Instead of fostering a sense of community and mutual support, what Brian Eno calls a scenius, where collective genius flourishes, this friend creates a climate of rivalry and scarcity. They operate from a scarcity mindset, the belief that there's only so much success to go around, and your win is their loss. So, instead of sharing a helpful article or an opportunity, they keep it to themselves. When you share a small victory, they immediately counter with a bigger one. The entire relationship becomes a subtle, unspoken competition. This is exhausting, and it kills the collaborative spirit that so often fuels creative breakthroughs. It fosters paranoia and secrecy, making you feel isolated in your journey. The truth, of course, is that creativity thrives in an abundance mindset, the belief that there is more than enough success for everyone, and that lifting others up only creates a stronger current for all boats to rise. The competitive gatekeeper forces you to play a lonely game, constantly looking over your shoulder instead of looking ahead at your own path. This is not how great work is born. Great work is born from generosity, community, and the shared excitement of creating something new in the world. Finally, we have the fifth archetype, a powerful and often overlooked force, the nostalgia trap. This is not one person, but often a whole group of friends, like Clara's university crew. These relationships are built on a shared past. The bond is strong, rooted in history, laughter, and a time when you are all on the same page. The danger arises when you begin to grow and change, and the group does not. Your new identity, the disciplined writer, the aspiring entrepreneur, the dedicated athletess, a foreign object in the familiar landscape of the friendship. The group's identity is often vested in keeping everyone the same. The jokes, the stories, the activities all revolve around who you were, not who you are becoming. When you try to assert your new self by leaving early to work or declining a night of heavy drinking, it's perceived, often unconsciously, as a rejection of the group itself. They try to pull you back in with teasing, "Don't be so boring," or appeals to the past. "Remember the good old days?" Psychologists call this a threat to group cohesion. Your personal evolution threatens the static equilibrium of the group. While their pull is rooted in a desire for connection and a love for the person you were, it can become a powerful force of stagnation. It can make you feel guilty for growing. It traps you in an old version of yourself, forcing you to choose between your past and your future at every social gathering. Clara's dream is under siege from all sides. The minimizer questions its legitimacy. The crisis magnet steals its energy. The critic attacks its quality. The competitor isolates it. And the nostalgia trap denies its right to exist. The cumulative effect is a powerful brew of doubt, exhaustion, and guilt. She starts to wonder if they are all right. Maybe her dream is silly. Maybe she isn't good enough. Maybe she should just go back to being the old, comfortable, uncomplicated Clara. This is the point where most dreams die. Not in a blaze of glory, but in a quiet suffocation, smothered by the well-intentioned, deeply misguided love of the people closest to us. The breakthrough for Clara, and for us, comes from a radical shift in perspective. The problem is not that her friends are bad people. The problem is that she is entrusting her most fragile creation to people who are not equipped to handle it. You wouldn't ask a butcher for advice on how to perform heart surgery. Why would you ask a friend with a scarcity mindset for feedback on your vulnerable first draft? The solution is not to declare war on your friends. It is to become a wise and discerning curator of your inner circle. It's about consciously choosing who gets a front row seat to your journey and who needs to be moved to the balcony. This begins with setting new, clear boundaries, not just on your time, but on your information. For Clara, this means she goes on an information diet. She simply stops talking about her novel with Maya, Jessica, and David. When they ask, she gives a brief, pleasant, and vague answer, "It's coming along," and immediately changes the subject. She is not being dishonest. She is protecting her work from commentary that is not helpful. She is taking her dream out of the line of fire. She is claiming her right to decide who gets to speak into her creative process. With Tom, the crisis magnet, she needs to set a time and energy boundary. She can start by not answering his calls immediately when she's in a writing session. She can let him know lovingly, "Hey, I can't talk right now. I'm in the middle of a deep work session. Can I call you back this evening?" She can also set a limit on the conversation, saying, "I've only got 15 minutes to talk before I need to get back to my project." She is teaching him, gently but firmly, that her time is not an infinite resource and that her work matters. With her nostalgia-trapped friends, she can honor the past without being imprisoned by it. She can still see them, but perhaps for shorter periods. She can be the one to suggest a new activity that doesn't just revolve around drinking and reminiscing. And she can learn to leave early without guilt, with a simple, "It was so great seeing you all. I've got to run. 5 a.m. comes early." She is lovingly detaching her present self from their expectations of her past self. But setting boundaries is only half the equation. The other half, the truly life-changing half, is actively seeking out your new tribe. The space and energy Clara reclaims from her draining friendships is not a void to be lamented. It's a field to be cultivated. So she takes a terrifyingly brave step. She joins a local writer's workshop. The first night, she is riddled with anxiety. But then, she shares a page of her work. The feedback she receives is nothing like Jessica's. A man in the group says, "I love the way you describe the rain. I really felt like I was there. Have you considered exploring that character's inner conflict a bit more in that scene?" A woman adds, "Your premise is so unique. It reminds me a little of this other book. You should check it out for inspiration." The feedback is honest, yes, but it is constructive. It is generous. It comes from people who are also in the arena. They aren't trying to pull her down. They are trying to lift her work up. For the first time, she feels seen. Not as a hobbyist, but as a writer among writers. She finds her people. She finds a writing buddy in the group, and they text each other their daily word counts for accountability. They celebrate finishing a chapter. They understand the unique agony and ecstasy of the creative process. These new friendships are not built on a shared past, but on a shared passion and a shared direction. They are a powerful tailwind propelling her forward. This is the journey. It's not about cutting people off and being alone. It's about a conscious evolution of your social world to match the evolution of your inner world. It's about understanding that the people who were perfect companions for one stage of your life may not be the right ones for the next. And that is okay. It is a natural, albeit sometimes painful, part of growth. So, look at your own precious, fragile dream. Who are you sharing it with? Are they the minimizers, the crisis magnets, the concerned critics, the competitive gatekeepers, or the nostalgia traps? Or are they the collaborators, the cheerleaders, the honest builders, the generous guides? Your dreams are living things. They need sunlight, not shade. They need fresh air, not a vacuum. You are the head gardener of your own soul. It is not only your right, but your sacred duty to protect your aspirations from the frost of doubt and the weeds of negativity. Choose your company not based on the comfort of history, but on the courage of a shared destination. Surround yourself with people who don't just ask about your dream, but who make you feel brave enough to chase it.